at present?
I have a few questions.
Yes, sir.
The first thing is that what you gave to, I'm Michael Martins. First thing is what you gave to plants.
Ah.
Do you consider it as a pesticide or a fertilizer?
No. It's a health promoter. Because that first oil, what did it do in plants? Because, we did this in the botany department. We found it increases the level of polyphenols. So you get pest resistance. It's not a pesticide. It's not killing pests.
It's a pesticide also.
No. Pesticide means you have to kill pests.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
So fertilizer.
No, please. So pests are very much there. What is happening is their ability, sucking pests are not able to suck and the borers are not able to bore. So the damage caused by pests is reduced. That's one. Secondly, just as in human beings the resistance is increased, in case of plants their environmental resistance is increased. In other words, if there is sudden change of temperature, the flower drop is reduced and so on. So second. Third is there is increase in the number of branches, the level of chlorophyll and therefore growth rate. Fourth is whatever be the crop, whether it is rice, wheat, vegetables, horticulture, doesn't matter, the yield of the final product is increased. Next, the quality is increased. What do I mean by quality? For example, in case of fruit, they are more uniform in size. Now what does that mean? That means nutrition to each branch is now effective. Why fruits are of non-uniform quality? Because just as in our body in diabetes, peripheral circulation is hampered, in case of plants also that can happen, equivalent. Whereas with this, the circulation is good in all branches, therefore fruit quality is uniform. Second aspect is the flavor and all is improved. And finally, you just dip them for a while in this, shelf life improves. It is just as in case of human beings, resistance against opportunistic infection, stress tolerance, various healing, anti-inflammatory, so on and so forth. Same thing is happening in plants. So it's not a fertilizer. I mean, fertilizer you need in macro doses.
The video is being taken off his talk. I wish it is shown to all the ministers concerned.
I would much rather we start with some groups. Showing to ministers concerned, nothing will happen.
So next question is, what is that leaf or plant that you have shown there?
I have not. This looks like Brahmi to me, but I have not produced this picture.
Okay. Sir, the next thing.
Ginkgo biloba.
So the next question, sir, it always happens that somebody who's revolutionary like you started mentioning about people saying double blind and all.
Yeah.
So I'm afraid because those things are done by competitors who try to eliminate you.
I know. Therefore, I have to go directly to people.
Yeah. So I wish you all success and
Thank
I
you.
hope nobody... and the last thing I'd like to say, sir, you mentioned about the Charak era started and now we should call it the Kane era, sir.
That's for people to decide.
Dr. Kane, these are not really questions, but some simple thoughts that you would like to reflect upon in public. One of the thoughts that came to me while you were speaking on doses. In homeopathy, it has been stated that if you dilute the dose 100 times, 1000 times, it becomes more potent. And it is speculated that it could be that as we reduce it to the atomic size, it is the aura of that particular atom. This is not my statement. It is a speculation of the great people in that line. That perhaps that aura is producing some effect in that. Then there's another thought which goes along with this, is that if you take even minute doses in a larger volume of some other substance and you begin to heat, heating kills life forms, the spirit forms. And generally it is stated and proved that those who have natural foods are able to at the same time get the benefit of some other molecules and life forms within that minimal doses that are given. A third aspect, these are all you'll see relating to some auric type of thing. I'm just using on is that many people who pray over the medicines or over the plants are able to develop immunity and they are able to develop health giving properties in the particular molecule or in the particular plant or whatever substance you're creating. When you put all these things which we know of together, how would you relate it to your heating substances or any other thing which you're thinking about? That is good. What you're saying is good. But just by way of...
I think I start answering some of your questions. First of all, when people say if you heat, you kill something in natural products, that is true. You kill the enzymes. Okay? But what I have uncovered is as if it was coded knowledge in the cell walls. And in my process, that has become uncoded. That is one. Now, let's talk of homeopathy. It's a very good point. In fact, we are doing research on homeopathy at IIT Bombay. And we have a breakthrough in homeopathy, which is going to revolutionize thinking on homeopathy. What we did, we just went to the market and got market samples of Schwab and SBL medicines, 30C and 200C. In the first round, we selected metals, that is aurum, argentum, platinum, zinc, cuprum and stannum. Because I had some ideas on what may happen, and we put a PhD student to work on it. Now, as you know, or anybody who knows anything about C knows that 1C is 100-fold dilution. So 30C is 10 raised to 60-fold dilution and 200C is 10 raised to 400-fold dilution. So the world has always believed that when you go to such dilutions, which is far beyond Avogadro number, by many, many orders of magnitude, not a single molecule of the starting material can be present. That is the current thinking. We just decided to take a look. We have now clearly established that even at 200C, in that medicine, parts per trillion of the starting metal are very much present. Of course, such a controversial paper, when we sent to Nature, it was returned in 4 hours. Science returned it in 4 days. Small, a nanotechnology magazine, returned it in 8 days. So we decided enough is enough. So we were sent to a homeopathy journal in UK. Took them 2 months to find a reviewer. But that reviewer strongly recommended and they have now accepted the paper. Maybe in the next few months it will come out. So what I am saying is, we have shown for the first time that totally contrary to the popularly held belief, in fact the starting materials are still present, even in 200C. Now, what is more, we have found that if we compare 6C, 30C and 200C, whereas again you should expect many million-fold change, right? Hardly any change in concentration. In other words, it's as if, you draw a curve of concentration versus C. It sort of comes down obviously initially, and then from 6C and beyond, it's almost an asymptote. It's almost leveled out. Now we have sort of thought of a hypothesis of why that is happening. To prove that hypothesis needs even more sensitive instrument than what we have at present. What I mean is, whatever that be, fact we have established is, in fact the metals are very much present in super high potency medicines now. We would like, only problem is funding. Who gives funding for this? Currently I am funding that project, frankly. Because the funding agencies, if I go, they will say, but what is the evidence that what you say is true in advance? That is how they work. We would like to extend this to obviously herbal based medicine. Our student now has started looking at bioassay in cell culture and in zebrafish, where we hope we will see. First of all, we now know what is present, right? So there is some knowledge about the biological properties of those nanoparticles. which we should be able to confirm in bioassays. It directly gives you high potency, equivalent to high potency homeopathic medicine. That is as far as homeopathy. What I mean is, this can totally change the way people look at homeopathy. Many scientists in the world totally discard it because they say, hey, nothing is present in it, so it's all nonsense. But the minute you say something is present, you cannot say that. Only problem is, our position can be, as one can say, na ghar ka, na ghat ka. Because on one hand, we are challenging modern science dogma and saying, you don't know what you're talking, things are present. On the other hand, there is this long-held homeopathic dogma that higher potency is better. And we are saying prima facie, at least with these medicines, the absolute level don't seem to be greatly different. I also have some ideas on that. We will not discuss it now. Okay? Now, as far as effects of spirits, actually recently I am reading a book called Infinite Mind and some universal holography, which sheds some new light on some of these things. But my view is very simple. If somebody says by a prayer something happens, I would like to see that one or two documented cases. Even if I know one or two documented cases, I will take more interest in it. That's all. I don't want to go into theory. I don't want to go into ideology. Makes no difference.
There was an article in the
Just
paper.
a moment,
sir,
let others get the
Any
opportunity to intervene.
Myself, Dr. Rajesh Sarvatni, I'm MD Homeopath. I was just going through your lecture, I don't find any difference in homeopathy and your thoughts. Most of the principles.
But actually, I am saying that it's converging now. Very soon, I will be able to say that Ayurveda in the limit. And even now that we have found homeopathic metal medicines and nanoparticles, and my oils have nanoparticles, these are converged.
Okay. Second thing is that even I had a talk with Ayurvedic doctors. They have one subject called Sukshma Ayurveda.
Which is really low potency homeopathy. That's what they do.
Second thing I would like to know whether you.
One second. Now, what I am saying is, look at the way homeopathic herbal medicines are done. What are you doing? You are grind initially with lactose, you are triturating, right? So that grinding action may be doing exactly what I am doing by cooking in oil. It will rupture cell walls and it will also generate nanofragments. So in fact, in homeopathy also that curve shifts to the left. In fact, I was talking to Dr. Habbu, who is a well-known homeopath. He seemed to say that according to him, Hahnemann in his lifetime could never have proven so many remedies. So he thinks Hahnemann was strongly influenced by Ayurvedic knowledge, and maybe he proved some, and others he just put down. That is what Abhu said. Yes.
Second thing, you proved some drugs, whether it was in deceased person or healthy human beings.
Which drugs?
You tried some medicines.
I mean, when I say works on pain, it is people who have pain. How can I, in a healthy person, I can't find any effect on pain.